And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show, Tuesday, February 3rd. We got a real amount of games today. Unfortunately, not the most fun slate in the world. Not that it's a problem, it just all locks by 8 o'clock. Would have been nice if we could stretch this time out a little bit further. But we've got, I'm going to refresh this just in case they've been moving stuff around, because we've had different game dates and times recently. So I want to make sure I have the most up-to-date times for what we're doing here. And now we do. We've got 3 7 o'clocks, we've got 2 7:30s, and we've got 3 8 o'clocks, plus a 10 o'clock and an 11 o'clock later tonight. 8-game main, $11 DraftKings main. It's a very different price point. That's a weird spot. Alas, we're here. We get a Nuggets-Pistons game, which should be pretty fun. And Magic Thunder, I guess, is pretty fun-ish. Not a lot else out there. Jazz Pacers, pretty bad. Hawks Heat. It's like a play-in preview. Sounds about right. So let's break it all down, shall we? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, everybody? How'd you guys do yesterday? Anything good? Anything good? OKC Q tags. Yeah, we'll get there. We will get there. Give me 1 second. Got to send a message. Shout out to the man, Rich Green, helping me out on the projection side before we get there. You guys didn't have Dom Barlow? No? Not enough Dominic Barlow yesterday? I think I shouted Dominic Barlow out on the deeper dive, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Looked interesting, at least. Nugs Pistons 7 o'clock start should be fun. We're going to work our way through all of this. There's my Rich message. Let's find out. All right, projections should be getting updated right now. Yeah, 18 rebounds. That's what I predicted. That's what I had him for. Sounds like I nailed it. Feels like it. Hard to win these domestic ass slates. Domestic? What am I missing here? What word do you mean? Oh man. I legit don't know. All right, let's walk through some of this. Let's set the table on the injury report side. See where we stand. And we started off with that Nuggets-Pistons game. Pistons, 3.5 point favorites here. 227 total. No Aaron Gordon. No Cam Johnson. Q-tag Christian Brown. We are here, folks. I guess we're pretty squared up in the screen. So we're waiting on the Christian Brown status for sure. We have not seen a ton of him this season. Nuggets certainly want him back. On the Pistons side, no Karis LeVert. Potentially, he is questionable. All the other injury news is G League related. But yeah, no Aaron Gordon, no Cam Johnson. Christian Brown, questionable. Karis LeVert, questionable. Jazz Pacers. Now, we don't have a Pacers injury report. Keep an eye on this. Non-zero chance somebody's sitting for the Pacers that we don't expect, but just keep an eye. On the Jazz side, Yusuf Nurkic is way too tired to be playing in this one, so he's going to be out for rest. Keontae George out with the ankle sprain. Otherwise, at least as of right now, everybody that you would typically want for the Pacers or for the Jazz, they're in. Knicks Wizards. It's another 7 o'clock start. No Miles McBride, no Mitchell Robinson. On the Wizards side, Trae Young not going to make it for this one. Trey Johnson still out. Tristan Vukcevic still out. Anthony Gill is questionable for the Wizards. So nothing too crazy there. We're used to that news. 7:30 start, Lakers Nets. Brooklyn is 8.5-point dog at home in this one. Austin Reeves questionable. Bronny James questionable. For the Nets, Noah Clowney probable. Zaire Williams probable. Those guys have been in and out as of late. Hawks Heat. Dwop Reith not going to make it out there for the Hawks. He's obviously done for the year. I would imagine they cut him at some point. Onyeka Okongwu still out with that facial issue. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable today for the Hawks. Who the hell knows? Terry Rozier, shout out to Terry Rozier. He gonna get his money. Good for him. Still out, however. Tyler Hero out. Nikola Jovic and Norm Powell both questionable. Everybody else available for the Miami Heat. Celtics Mavs. Everybody's available for the Celtics save for Jason Tatum. On the Mavs side, clearly no Anthony Davis. PJ Washington out with a concussion. Brandon Williams questionable. Musa Cisse questionable. Keep an eye. On the Bulls side, taking on the Bucks. Bulls 3.5-point favorites. Dario Saric not with the team. Josh Giddey out. Trey Jones out. Zach Collins out. Q-tag Jalen Smith. Q-tag Julian Phillips. Q-tag Kevin Huerter. On the Bucks side, no Giannis, no KPJ, no Gary Harris. Magic Thunder. Final game of the main slate. No Franz Wagner on the Magic side. Thunder 6.5-point favorites. No AJ Mitchell. No J-Dub. Doubtful tag on Alex Caruso. Q tag on Chet, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jalen Williams with a Y, SGA. Fuck if I know who's going to play for these dudes, and we are not going to get any of this information anytime soon, but it should be pretty clear. We have no idea whatsoever what's going to happen with the Thunder. This will be the most important thing we have, assuming nothing happens by the time we get to 7 o'clock. Yeah, I know. The Bulls really are sunk without Javon Carter. I don't know how they're going to be able to make it without their 15th guy. It's going to be crazy. All right, let's pull up the data hub and let's see where we stand. Shout out to Rich for getting this stuff up for me. Hit a bit of a hiccup on my update. He was able to hook me up. All right, so here's where we are to start the day. A quick reminder, it's early, but your chalkiest play of the day, as of right now, $3,600 Kyle Anderson, power forward center eligible, currently projected for 62% ownership. Discuss while I do one thing. I could see over my shoulder that I didn't replace sneakers on the rack because I have sneakers on my feet, and it was driving me crazy to see a blank spot, so I had to put those in there. But yeah, as of this moment, it's a bit of a slow-mo day. And if $3,600 Kyle Anderson isn't your cup of tea, may I interest you in $3,900 Cole Anthony, who is also 40% owned. That is what we have to start today. Kyle Anderson and Cole Anthony. And then Karl Anthony Towns. So it's Kyle Anderson, Cole Anthony, and Karl Anthony at the top of this list. That is what we've got as the three most owned guys to start the day. Trey, you do in fact see the Laneys back there. You do indeed. They do not get worn all that. I've probably worn those 5 times. And I've probably had them for 10 plus years. They're gems to me. Still got one more pair. I got to get the Laney ones. You know what? I would imagine price tag right now isn't all that great. I should have bought them years ago when I had the chance. Not that I don't have the chance right now. I could buy these if I want to. I just fucking shouldn't waste money on Laneys. I want to see the price. Ba-ba-ba. How much are these right now? Ooh, that's not bad for the retros. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. 270 last sale 375. There's a 274 out there. I might buy those right now. There's a decent chance I'm going to buy these sneakers after this show. We'll talk about that later. Anywho, let's get back to the nonsense that is this slate. Because we've got that value allegedly on Kyle Anderson and Cole Anthony. We don't really have anybody else at the top with a truly preposterous value option. Like, Wiggins is highly owned. He's 5,400. Suggs, Josh Hart, Dosunmu, they're all like 6K, 7K. So for right now, we have 2 primary pieces of value in slow-mo Cole Anthony. We've got Jay Huff, who's a bit of a wild card for today. Pacers could be anything. Tyler Kolek as like a sneak value option is sitting there. And then it kind of fades away. But you need that value if you want to get to a 12K Luka Doncic or a 11-7 Jokic, which seems almost impossible. SGA Q tag sitting out there. So Jalen Johnson at 10-2 is the primary pay up option right now. I think that's aggressive. Like, just on the surface, I'm slightly more interested in like Cade than Jalen Johnson. I should also mention that, Trey, Laney High School is like 2 miles from me. I mean, I'm mildly exaggerating, but it is here. If I had kids, they would go to Laney High School. So that's how close it is for me. So I need to get those sneaks at some point. Not a ton of ownership going into the top end. Now we know Jokic at 11-7 is sort of a different guy. Depending on how the news breaks, SGA could look a lot better. I'm fascinated by the Cade Jalen Johnson pivot, just since they're next to each other. Jaylen Brown certainly looks underrepresented at 10% ownership. Paolo, not so much. Murray, not so much. As I'm looking at pay-ups, I think Jalen Johnson and Cade Cunningham seem underrepresented for what we see at the top. And if SGA is in, there's a path where I like him more than this. It just kind of depends on all of those Q tags. As weird as it sounds, I kind of like want everybody to be around for Shea. Jaylen Brown right now is the one that I think stands out the most. 9,800, great matchup against Dallas. Well, you know, like Dallas stinks. is what I mean. Sub 10% ownership, north of 30% boom rate. Mitchell, no, I'm going to be 41 in 9 days. No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't like taking care of myself. If I had kids, I'd never have this job. Oh, I'd be driven crazy. All right. The question to me really is, how do you get to Luka Doncic currently? So I want to see what the single lineup simulator looks like. I've mentioned this a lot, and I know that the strategy show is typically a group of people that are well versed in our tools, but for those of you that aren't, the single lineup sim is like my favorite thing that we have. So our optimal lineup right now, the highest projected lineup that you can build: Davion Mitchell, Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Towns, Cole Anthony, Jalen Johnson, Bam Adebayo. 272.4, 242.5 ownership. What is the optimal around Luka Doncic? How much do you have to give up right now? 270.8. So you give up about a fantasy point and a half at neutral ownership to get to Luka. Okay. Interesting. That just makes me like Jaylen Brown more, if I'm being honest. It certainly lets me know why Jalen Johnson is as popular as he is. Okay, what if it's not Luka? What if it's Cade? You know what? I got to go to I'm just doing Jaylen Brown now. I'm more interested in that. Sub 10% Jaylen Brown. Ooh, yeah, I don't like that. So to lock Jaylen Brown, the optimal around him drops 3 fantasy points from the true optimal. We do save a little bit of ownership, but it brings in Tyler Kolek into play, and I don't necessarily love that. Not that he's a bad value option, but it does make it so that we have Kolek, Slow-Mo, and Cole Anthony, which seems a lot. That said, doesn't seem all that difficult to get to Jaylen Brown. I think it's more interesting that this lineup also has Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Johnson. That's where the Towns piece of it starts to get weird. Now, he's a great play today. The highest point per dollar individual center, the highest point per dollar option of the day. Like, everybody else is in the 3s, the 4s, the 5s. The Towns is at 8,300. But I think that's also probably the easiest place to get a little bit different. Just locking in a different center. If I clear that out and pick a different center than Towns, like if we go, I'm just going to go J Huff. That should stop Towns, but it might stop Jalen Johnson. Yeah, it stopped Jalen Johnson, not Towns. The moral of this story is that Jaylen Brown is not owned enough. That is the moral of this story. Jorge, I have not talked about the Harden thing. I don't think there's much to say. Like, there's no scenario where Cleveland is trading Darius Garland for James Harden straight up. So I don't particularly care about that story. My first assumption when I heard it is that they know that Kawhi is going to get suspended. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, is that they know this season is over and the public doesn't yet. So Harden's just trying to get himself to a place that actually can do something. I don't know what the market is. I don't know who would want him. He's not worth anything to me. I would never trade Darius Garland for him unless the Clippers were giving back a bunch of other stuff. They don't have a bunch of other stuff. So I'm mostly indifferent about this. Strikes me as a situation where nothing happens. But I don't believe in the Garland deal at all. Unless there's way more in it that hasn't been talked about. Harden wants 21 a year. I can't imagine you actually meant to type 21 in. There's no way Harden wants $21 million. That's way low. Every team in the league would want James Harden at $21 million a year. Every real team would pay James Harden $21 million a year right now. So, unless you mean like 41, 21 is of no relevance. Sylvester, Harden's money is irrelevant for next year. He's on a player option. It's either all going to be that deal or he's going to decline his player option and sign a different deal. But the non-guarantee for next year is not a relevant thing. Steven, I'm going to hit that question. Let me see it. All right, I had a single. Is it a good idea after lock to plug in your lock guys in a single, then play around with optimals or money variation? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It's certainly fun to look at. Like, never hurts to have more information. But it's always fun to see like what else rotates around it. I like it. Brandon, clearing cap space for who clearing cap space for 2027? Cleveland? I mean, realistically, if they're doing that, it's mostly just to like make sure they have Donovan Mitchell. Sylvester, no one can extend Harden in any appreciable way. He's subject to the over 38 rule for any contract he signs now. So there is no like actual long-term deal that he could sign no matter what. At this point, I believe he's limited to 2-year deals anyway. Unless the final year of that deal is like non-guaranteed. But he'll be 37 before the season starts. So I believe he couldn't sign it. Like if he declined his player option right now, I still think he could only sign a 2-year deal because of the over 38 rule. I'd be very, very surprised if James Harden gets traded in the next couple days. And by the way, I haven't said this yet. I'll be live on Thursday, trade deadline, probably 1 o'clock, something slightly after noon, breaking down anything that pops up. I've been doing trade deadline live streams for at least 6 years. If not more. I don't really... I guess I probably started it before COVID, so it's probably 7 years, 8 years. I will be live on Thursday for a couple hours in the afternoon talking about whatever pops up. No idea how it's going to break down. We'll see. Last year sucked, if I remember correctly. There have been years where it's been super fun. But, yeah, I'll be live on Thursday. I'd like to find some interesting angles here. If the league was going to suspend Kawhi, it would have happened a while ago. Yeah, I 100% disagree with that. The league was never going to suspend Kawhi Leonard until it had information that would allow them to not refute that. The last thing they want to do is be in like a giant hullabaloo over a suspension and $40 million worth of Kawhi Leonard's salary. Also, if we're being very honest, I think they wanted to hold off on all of this until after the All-Star game leaves the Clippers arena. But, yeah. I'm trying to look through this slate right now to find the, like, where is the true pivot spot? Maybe it's the 3K guys. Let's see here. What other alternatives do we have as pay downs? Let's see. Any value greater than 5x. So we've got the Cole Anthony piece. We've got the Kyle Anderson piece. Jay Huff. McConnell maybe. Now, hard to say Danish Jenkins. I mean, realistically, Mo Gay is like a little sneaky at 4,400 today. I mean, you can like pay up to be contrarian value on Walter Clayton in comparison to somebody like Tyler Kolek. There is really not a lot of value out there today. Like, how many real value plays do we have projected for north of 24 minutes? I guess Jameer Watkins maybe today as an unknown dude. I don't know why you would want to lock that in, though. It's tough to want to trust somebody like Nolan Traore. Cody Williams fucking blows. Terrence Mann blows. Caleb Martin blows. Oh, look. I mean, these guys are such poor per minute dudes. You get past Slow-Mo, a fantasy point per minute guy getting 60% ownership. Look at the rest of this list. 0.7, 0.7, 0.6, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.6, 0.65. Then we get to Mo Gay. $4,400 Mo Gay. Probably very underrepresented right now. Thanks to that big chalk bust we had a couple days ago. Whether or not Porzingis is back will be huge here. But if he's not, like real minutes for Mo Gay are on the table if Porzingis is out. And realistically, we have no idea how much Porzingis can play. Like he's probably only playing something in the neighborhood of 20 given how long he's been out. But I got my eye on Mo Gay today. For right now. 10% owned. 10% optimal. We've got him in for 24 and a half minutes. But 23.7% boom rate catches my eye. Reminder, this is everybody projected for 24 minutes or more. And a lot of these guys are pay up options. We're in like the 7s, 8s, whatever. Mo Gay sitting here with the same boom rate as like Cooper Flagg. Nobody in here really getting any ownership in this range. This is probably like my sneak range. If we draw a line like here, maybe like, this low to mid to high 20% boom rate. This is where I think some of these guys are going to get slept on, and I like to pivot to them. Who the hell knows on Kyle Filipowski today? But interesting. Davion Mitchell already getting a little bit of love. Man, Isaiah Collier, 6,200. Like Kevin Huerter, if he's in, probably a little bit more interesting than a 10% owned guy. Interesting. What I'm seeing as I look through this slate today is that it almost, and it's weird because it doesn't Like, that's not really how it works, but it feels like a lot of guys are like $400 too expensive. And the path to either get to those dudes or to like pivot around them, it feels like a natural day to pay up to be contrarian. Whether that's for someone like Luka Doncic, for, a Jaylen Brown, as I mentioned. Obviously, Pascal Siakam today at 8,900. I know I talked about him a little bit yesterday. Siakam against the Jazz is way more interesting to me than a 3% owned dude if he plays. We might see nobody from Indy and a ton of value, so who knows? But I'm seeing, I just find it easier to get to some of these pay-up options with the hope that we just have a little bit like overrepresented value. I don't think it's going to be that hard to pay up a little bit more than what we're showing. I mean, if I add up this ownership, 17, 4, 6, 28, 14, 10, 5, 1, 3, 6, 16. Everybody on the screen, it goes a little bit further for me. I have Ryan Rollins as well. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The top 11 guys in salary make up 110% ownership. What that's saying is basically that you're only taking one guy on this entire list. Of everything we see here, including Ryan Rollins just below Michael Porter Jr., realistically, based on ownership, only one of these guys is in a lineup. So to me, I look at it and think, I just want two of them. Just by having two of these dudes, I have a much more unique construction. And I think I'll be able to find the value elsewhere pretty easily. Now, DFS is not the only thing that you can do with these projections. We can pull up the props tool. Let's hope that I get immediately signed in. I did not. This is going to happen again. It appears it is. So I'm not going to go down that path again. But you can use the props tool. Use the odds from OddsShopper and our projections. Set the weights the way that you want them to be. And it's going to spit out bets upon bets upon bets. I'm going to get myself logged in over here. Let's open a new tab. With there we go. Okay, so if I were a login, why would I work this way? I'm going to get myself logged in here so that we can talk through this bad boy. Guys, who do you want to pay up for today? That's the question that I have for you, because we've walked through this a bit. Where is your natural pay up? Is that going to be Jalen Johnson? Or do you guys see something at this top end that looks a little bit better to you guys? I want to know if you guys are seeing this the same way I am. All right. Boom. Yep, there's Jalen Johnson. Einsteinium, you're with me on Jaylen Brown. I love it. I love it. Jaylen Brown, Towns, Jalen Johnson, JB Towns, Jalen Johnson, Towns, Siakam, Luka, Johnson, Towns, Jack-off one's Jokic. That one scares me. That one scares me for sure. All right. Let's peep this props tool. Let's see what's out there right now. I'm going to go 80-20 market. Just to see if anything truly stands out right out of the gate. Johnny Furphy under 7.5 points at no vig looks awesome. Right out of the gate. I want to see if there's anything at DraftKings and FanDuel first. Hit everybody. We do. We've got an under 7.5 for Tyler Kolek at 6% EV on FanDuel. We have that same Furphy prop as well. So if you wanted to bet both of these, I don't know why I said FanDuel. I meant on DraftKings. Also, there is a line that's comparable on FanDuel. If you wanted to take these both, you just wanted to parlay Kolek under, Johnny Furphy under, or bet them both singly. You could add them both to your bet slip. They're both right here. Straights or parlays. And I click that link, I go straight to DraftKings. Ready to go. And you can do that for everything that you're building out here. Whichever lines are looking best to you, you could hit them. But we could also get real crazy if we want to and think, what does the model truly say? What does 100% stochastic projections look like right now? Because there's going to be crazy value. And we see it right away. Over 2.5 threes for Moses Moody would be the highest value option that we have. And that's across just the two books. If I put every book back in there, Cade Cunningham, over 4.5 rebounds at plus 115. The best option you can get if you wanted to take 100% of stochastic DFS projections. The Moses Moody line is still there. Grayson Allen under 4.5 assists. The Furphy line is still there. Kuzma over 1.5 threes. Massive value right now at plus 170. There's a lot to like here. And you can play with this balance however you want with these sliders. And this is going to get even more elaborate as we go. If you have a Stokastic Sims package right now, you have access to this tool. For right now, it's in beta. You can check it out, use it, figure out what you like, because we are building this one out more and more and more. And I want you guys to understand, it's an awesome tool right now with features coming that will just truly change up how awesome it is. I know I'm overselling it a little bit, but I mean what I say. Having the ability to mess with this stuff is what people are looking for. Do I like Larson for the Heat? Does he play today? Pelle Larson? The financier? So 5% owned at 5,400. No. As far as I'm concerned, he's not even on the slate. Not a name I would think about today in any way. Truly forgot he played. Oh, let's hit the schedule for the rest of the day. We've got a pretty jam-packed one. So, if you're interested in watching our content for the rest of the day, you know what happens after this show? In about 20 minutes? NFL Strategy Show, Laffy and Ben. Super Bowl coming up this weekend, folks. And now it's time to start prepping for the game. You get Ben, you get Laffy, you get them breaking it down today at 10 a.m. 1:30 p.m. start for the NHL Strategy Show. And then we got a slightly different night tonight, guys. So listen up, be ready. This is not what you guys have typically seen, but this is what we're doing today. There is no deeper dive tonight. NBA Live before lock, 6 p.m. Myself, Eric Lindquist. We're going to go for an hour. We're going to take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, NBA Live After Lock, Greg Ehrenberg going solo, looking for bets, looking for late swaps, using the prop tool, whatever he can find. Post-lock, that is what Greg is going to be doing. We know that we don't have playback anymore, so we can't watch the games, which is kind of frustrating. However, we are going to be live on Stokastic YouTube channel after lock, breaking down anything Greg finds. So when news comes in, Greg's going to hit you with the details. He's going to try to find some bets in the prop tool if that news happens. Late swaps, Greg's going to cover it. So we know that there's no playback, and we know you guys were loving that for that lock stretch, especially when we had a lot of news. But now that playback's gone, we're going to try this one out today. So no deeper dive. Live before lock at 6, live after lock at 7 with Greg Ehrenberg. That is where we stand, folks. That is where we stand. Any idea how long Greg would be on? My guess is that his goal is going to be to take it till 8 o'clock, since that's when all the games lock. Realistically, if it's all the news comes out at 7:30 and nothing else is happening, like, I could see him dropping off by 7:45, but I would expect a minimum of a half hour, if not more, depending on how it's going. Like, if it just, like, if all hell breaks loose at 7:30 for the news for the 8 o'clock games, then I would expect Greg to just be around and doing this. If there's nothing going on, like we already have all the OKC news, it wouldn't shock me if Greg dropped at 7:45. But yeah, my expectation is that it'll be a minimum of a half hour and likely the full hour. But I don't know for sure. It's not going to be 10 minutes, I can tell you that. So, is there anything else we could touch on? I think we set the table pretty well. We know that we have this value coming in on Slow-Mo and Cole Anthony for right now. We also know that we have just an absolute boatload of injury news to wait on in that Oklahoma City game. That's going to be pretty important. One quick, here are all the Q tags right now. Christian Brown, Karis LeVert, the Indiana Pacers on a back-to-back, Anthony Gill, Austin Reeves, Bronny, Kristaps Porzingis, Nikola Jovic, Norm Powell, Brandon Williams, Musa Cisse, Jalen Smith, Julian Phillips, Kevin Huerter, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jalen Williams with a Y and SGA. That's a decent chunk of Q tags right now. And if you're playing the late games, no injury report yet for Philly. Jalen Green questionable, Drew Holiday questionable. But we got a hell of a day on our hands. It is going to be a bit of a sprint on the DFS side, but that's okay. Which trade do I want to see go down on Thursday? Oh, I couldn't care less. Just a lot of them. I don't care what happens. I just want things to happen. But, yeah. I want a lot of stuff to happen. I just don't know who's going to make the moves. That's where it gets weird. The fact that the Heat, the Magic, the Bulls, and the Hawks are all in the play, and it never changes. It's so weird. It's so weird. I love it so much. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, the most important thing you guys can do besides hitting the like button right now, and aside from signing up using the link in the description of this video, because if you sign up through one of our partners, you get a month of The Sims for free. Yes, free. You won't pay us a dime. And if you sign up for more than one partner, you can get more than 1 month for free. Again, you won't pay us a dime. Everybody get your troll on. I don't know what you're doing, but that makes me feel like this is the perfect time to end this show. The NBA, how it is now, is trash. Yeah, on that note, I'm going to get out of here. All I'm going to do is argue with dumb takes. So good luck, everybody. Remember, no deeper dive tonight. NBA Live Before Lock, myself and Eric Lindquist leading into NBA Live Before Lock with Greg Ehrenberg. Make sure you go tell Ben and Laffy hi at 10 a.m. as they break down the Super Bowl. Later on, everybody.